Hello, Happy New Year, and welcome to Remotely News. I'm your host, Greg Demink. Jumping straight into our first episode of 2022, thieves have been routinely looting cargo containers hauled by trains passing through the Lincoln Heights area of Los Angeles. This is according to a thread from a Twitter account belonging to a John Schreiber, who is a CBS photojournalist, and he visited the tracks this week. I'll pin a link to that thread in the comment section below. The clips show what looks like thousands of packages left strewn across a section of tracks where trains are forced to slow down or are sometimes halted. This video, taken in Chicago in June of 2020, may serve to illustrate what is currently happening in LA.
Trains more, these motherfuckers still on this motherfucker like
Many of the packages Schreiber examined appear to have been deemed undesirable or were simply abandoned by the thieves. Their contents range from COVID tests to what look like medical samples and fishing lures. Local law enforcement told the journalist that UPS bags are popular among thieves opening cargo containers because they are often full of boxes with merchandise bound for residential addresses, and the items taken would have greater value and be easier to resell. As an experiment, Schreiber used tracking numbers found on the packages and discovered that they were marked as delayed on company websites. Union Pacific, the railroad company that owns the tracks, released a statement in response to the now viral tweets. In that statement, it explained that its security teams have been working closely with Los Angeles police and that it had successfully arrested several suspected thieves. But the statement went on to claim that many of those arrested received reduced charges or were soon released pending trial, and as a result simply returned to steal again. Astoundingly, the UP estimated more than 90, that's 90 containers are compromised per day. And remember that this has been going on for weeks. And in semi-breaking news that is mildly exciting, as I was writing and recording this, a train derailed on Saturday in the exact location of Schreiber's report. The moment was caught on camera by other reporters.
It's on two fucking tracks!
Because the train seems to be on two separate sets of tracks, the problem might have happened when the train switched tracks. But full disclosure, the closest I have to an engineering degree is about 50 hours in Railroad Tycoon. Ultimately, 17 cars were derailed and the tracks are now completely shut down. No injuries were reported, and as of Sunday afternoon, the line remains closed and the cause of the accident remains unclear. The thefts and the derailment must surely be exacerbating the backlogs caused by those supply chain disruptions we heard so much about over the last few months. Solutions are therefore desperately needed, and suggestions range from simply prosecuting the criminals to building a wall. One helpful Twitter user suggested the use of an armored train, but I fear that might simply spark an arms race between the train company and the criminals, and nobody wants that.
Bring down that thing!
Researchers at Ben Gurion University of the Negev in Israel have released videos they claim show fish actually piloting a small vehicle on land. The Fish-Operated Vehicle, or FOV for short, was designed as part of a research program to test the extent to which fish could be trained, while also assessing their ability to navigate outside of their natural element. To do this, the researchers first conditioned the fish to seek out a pink target in order to receive a food reward. Once this behavior was ingrained, these, geonauts were placed in the FOV. A camera picked up on the fish's movements, which a computer then processed and translated into instructions for the vehicle that then mirrored the direction and speed of the fish. As many as 10 fish underwent this geonaut training program, with several of those fish reducing the time needed to complete the task from 30 minutes to under 1. In an astounding development, one of the fish excelled so much that he actually earned his PhD and is now the dean of the university. I am, of course, lying, and that footage is from Season 2 of The Umbrella Academy. In all seriousness, though, I find it fascinating, particularly this fish correcting its position. That's some wild stuff. Now, at this point, you may be wondering what the point of all this is. Why do we need to study the brains of fish? According to one of the researchers, it could serve as a paradigm shift for humanity. We humans think of ourselves as very special, and many think of fish as primitive, but this is not correct. There are other very important and very smart creatures. And if that's too wishy-washy or even fishy for you, understanding how smaller brains work can help further our understanding of more complicated brains like our own. And I imagine figuring out just how fish navigate and even how they think could help us better farm and catch them. Now that's a worthy and delicious cause. And now over to sports. On December 11th, 2021, Microsoft sponsored an esports tournament called the Financial Modeling World Cup with a grand prize of $10,000. The event was live streamed on YouTube and even broadcast on ESPN3 and was accompanied by live commentary and a scoreboard. The hallmarks of a professional sport. Now, if you thought that this was a boring old set of spreadsheets, you'd be totally correct. While the organization behind the event tried to make the game accessible to people like me who fear Excel, they utterly failed. Including a story about a war between fantasy kingdoms couldn't hide the fact that all the action boils down to getting specific, useful information out of a dataset and automating this process as much as possible. Now, don't get me wrong, these people are clearly geniuses who possess a skill that probably earns them six-figure salaries, and it is vaguely interesting to see what the best Excel users in the world can achieve. But after watching the 2.5-hour live stream, albeit on double speed, I can confirm that it is totally fucking boring.
Yeah, 5 seconds left. 5 seconds left.
And we have a champion.
And that's time. And we're done. Congratulations. Congratulations, Andrew.
But, hey, who knows where the sport might go in a couple of years with the right kind of promotion.
Feels good and confidence starting round 2.
And of all the superlatives.
Now, some entertainment news. Stephanie Matto, 31, a reality TV star who went viral after announcing that she made $100,000 selling her farts in jars, was reportedly hospitalized in early January 2022 for 2 days after pushing her body to the limits to produce more and more gas. Apparently, the 90-Day Fiancé star and social media sensation became a fartrepreneur as a joke and publicity stunt, but then she actually started selling the jars of her poo gas. Demand quickly skyrocketed, and at its peak, she sold 97 jars in just 2 days. In a gutsy move to keep up with this demand, she switched to an all beans and eggs diet designed to maximize her fart yield. Unfortunately, after a few days of this high-fat and high-protein diet, she thought she was having a heart attack. But the pain she was experiencing had less to do with her heart rate and much more to do with her fart rate. Her symptoms were diagnosed as being indigestion and bloating caused by her change in diet. Now, I can't, and let's be honest, won't verify her claims, but they do have a whiff of believability. With the current weird and manic energy around collecting and investing in the US in particular, and the FOMO and isolation that social media naturally cause, you could probably find 97 horny men to buy just about anything, as long as you marketed it with cleavage. And I can personally attest to the agony indigestion can cause. You see, I once hit an all-you-can-eat buffet at a Cherokee casino so hard that within an hour I was praying for the sweet release of a fatal heart attack. That's a true story. Much like the indigestion that ended my all-you-can-eat career, Stephanie's hospitalization apparently led her to reassess a few things too. While she won't be giving up on her blossoming social media and adult content career, she is shifting her farts from the real world into the world of NFTs. Ugh, surprise. So instead of, buying a fart in a jar, you can now buy a picture of a fart in a jar. Call me crazy, and maybe I just don't get NFTs, but if I'm paying cash, I'd probably go for a physical fart jar. At least once you pop the lid, you still have a useful container. Wait a minute, you can swap them for real fart jars? This changes everything. The timing of the switch leads this skeptical reporter to guess that the whole hospitalization thing was just another marketing campaign to draw more attention to herself and her new project. And, well, it worked because here you and I are talking about it. So good for her, I guess. And on the bright side, you could argue that she is going green by reducing her methane output, a component of farts and a greenhouse gas. And that brings us to our final segment. I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Today's clip is from the 1964 film Kwaheri and features brain surgery performed by a tribal healer without anesthetic and in the open air of an African village. In the film, a woman complains of headaches and the flesh of her scalp is peeled back and a section of her skull is removed. Remarkably, the patient survived the operation and even walked back to her home. Even more astounding is the fact that other people appear to have recovered from similar surgeries, although there were lasting consequences. While the footage appears to be genuine, according to the film's Wikipedia entry, it is considered a pseudo-documentary because the focus of the film was on the more extreme or exotic parts of African life, likely designed specifically to shock and titillate Western audiences. And I mean, just look at this poster. Is this not the poster of a legitimate documentary? Regardless of the intent of the film as a whole, I still find that whole sequence quite remarkable. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes. So yeah, it has some value, I guess, but I'm not making any judgments. I'm just showing you weird shit. The whole film is available on YouTube. I didn't bother watching the whole thing. I only came across the clip. Links to the clip, so you can see it uncensored if you want to, you weirdo, and the whole film in the comment section below.
The universe holds its breath at the audacity of man. No anesthesia here. No hypnosis. Only the psychosomatic belief and faith in one man, the witch doctor.
And that's all we have time for in this installment of Remotely News, the news you may or may not be able to use. Thank you for watching. Oh, and please do hit those like, subscribe, and notification buttons below. It's a big help. Thank you. Bye-bye. You were not recording.